All right, Beyond the Gates fans, Season 1, Episode 21, another banger, 10 out of 10. Look, I just feel like this episode did a great job with the way it depicted Danny. I think that we all felt the same way. Oh man, Chelsea, the moment she drops the "I'm done with modeling" bomb, Danny would just lose her mind. But it was beautiful. It really was. And I think this was a great scene. That was kind of the flip side of the coin in terms of one of the Hamilton daughters confronting the parent that pretty much molded their careers. With Chelsea, it's kind of like stepping out of her mom's modeling shadow, and Naomi is confronting her father with the lawsuit, which I thought was great. Martin gets caught in his BS. That was excellent as well. And those were like the main things of the episode. But yeah, overall, I really did enjoy this. But as always, just let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I do read the comments. I drop a video, then a few hours later, maybe just the next day, I'll go and look at it and I'll see what people have to say. But I do miss watching the show live. It's not that I can make the time every single day to do it because I enjoy the tweets, but I just love the Paramount Plus. I'm spoiled. Plus, when I watch it on Paramount Plus, I can watch the show, up to 2 times faster and be done with the episode sooner. But hey, the episodes have so much crammed into it. Sometimes I have to stop, go back, and rewatch scenes at their regular speed because I might miss something. Because sometimes that dialogue is very key. So, before getting into the breakdown, please take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Hit subscribe and hit that bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. And one last thing before we get into review. I do recall one of my recent reviews, I said something like, hey, maybe I'll do live streams if that's what you all want, where, kind of a weekly thing, either on Friday or over the weekend. I'll do a live stream and we can kind of just talk about the week of Beyond the Gates that we just saw together. And a lot of people were, into that idea, like, hey, that sounds like a great plan, let's do it. So yeah, if I ever do live streams, it'll be Friday or over the weekend. I'll keep you all posted on when I'll do the first one, though. That way the first one won't be just a big surprise and people will be like, oh, I didn't make it. So let's dive in. Now, Chelsea is telling her mom about her plans to quit modeling, which Danny just thinks is a joke at first, until Chelsea stands firm, or technically sits firm because they were sitting down, basically explaining how she wants to leave modeling because it's your dream, not mine, and to pursue a purse design, or basically fashion. And Danny breaks down, well, baby, it's like it takes a lot to get into the fashion line and whatnot, but Chelsea pretty much talks about how, at first it was just some doodles, but then, Cat and I have started our own business, and, she's gotten it lined up where we can have this huge investor, but I want to make our own line our own, black owned and everything. And maybe somewhere down the line, we'll talk about investors and whatnot, but for now, I want it to be our own thing. And Danny. I think what took me back about this scene, it was more of the hurt that Danny had, not because Chelsea wanted to quit modeling. It's the fact that she felt hurt because she thought they had been getting so close. I think, during the divorce period and whatnot, when Chelsea would, spend time with her mom at the house, spend the night, they talk. It's like, I thought we were becoming more than just mom and daughter. We were becoming friends, and that's a luxury a lot of black people, we don't know what it is to call a parent a friend. Now look, hey, if you had that relationship with your parents, hey, I kind of envy you, but yeah, I definitely did not have that relationship in that household growing up. But yeah, well, some people do say as they get older, them and their parents get closer because, they're older now, that kind of thing. But Yeah, I felt that the fact that Danny was hurt that Chelsea didn't explain her hopes and dreams to her mom, because she's like, well, where did this come from? And this is something I've been cooking on the side for a while. And I love the fact that Danny didn't hold it against her daughter. This is what the second time I've said this and I've loved it, where Danny didn't hold something against her daughter, like the live stream at the wedding. It's like, no. Do not blame yourself. I was the one that trained you to, keep your life pretty much in front of the camera almost 24/7. And in terms of this dream, it's just reminiscent of her own when she, left the family to pursue her modeling career in New York. So when Chelsea's like, because she felt bad because Chelsea revealed that she didn't want to, I guess you could say, take away the last thing in her mom's life. And it's like, well, you know what? Yeah, you worked so hard on the fundraiser and securing that dress. Let me go ahead and sign. When Danny ripped up that contract, I was just dumbfounded. I'm like, wow, this was beautiful. This was beautiful. The only thing missing, which I'm pretty sure will happen in all screen land, was Danny demanding to see these purses. Like, let me see what my baby girl's been working with. This was just excellent. I loved it so much. And even better is like when they had a moment and they were hugging, you could see, some tears in Danny's eyes, but from a distance, Nicole walked into the country club and she let them have their moment. But later on, Nicole and Chelsea had a conversation about the purse lines and all that stuff. And, Nicole was even surprised that Danny took it well and just reminded Chelsea that, she's doing fine and everything. And I'm glad you stepped out to do your own, vision and goals. But just make sure you check on your mom because, this is still a vulnerable time. So I love how they both had a moment to go like, yeah, I know. And they both do check on her. Now, later on, Danny is home and she's drinking again. I was like, oh man. Because when she first got home and opened up one of the cabinets or dressers in the living room, and I'm like, no, is she going for the bottle when actually she reached for that magazine cover that was framed, the one that Haley broke a couple episodes ago. And she looked at it and talked about how, can't believe it, 17 years old, had the world in the palm of my hand for 2 years. I'm like, dang. See, I thought Danny had been, like a famous model for at least 5 years or so before she put it all on hold for Bill. But no, she had like a shorter career than the Spice Girls. From 17 to 19. That's crazy when you think about it. And no wonder and look, I'm not excusing her behavior, but good grief. I mean, now I feel even more, worse for her because think about it. She defied her parents, left home before she was even like a legal adult. Wait, hang on. Is it 18 or 21? I know I'm not really speaking in terms of drinking, but in terms of like, when can you be considered an adult? Is it 18 or 21? I remember growing up, I always thought it was just 21. Because I'm like, yeah, I'm 18, but I hate driving. I don't have a license yet. Out of choice. I got my license before my 21st birthday, just to say I got it before I was turned 21. But, yeah, the move to New York. And it goes back to what Nicole was telling Chelsea about how, her parents didn't approve of Danny going to New York, but she left, and it wasn't just that Danny left the goals of their parents. She straight up left the family. It's kind of like she broke away and did her own thing. And Chelsea was taken aback by, wait, this before cell phones and whatnot. Yeah, Danny would call every now and then, when she remembered, which wasn't that often, but you can understand why a mother would feel concerned about their daughter kind of like breaking ties and things like that. But that's why Nicole really told Chelsea, like, don't, disassociate yourself from your mom, even though you're doing your own thing now. But essentially, Danny, was tearing up. And look, you cannot tell me she won't make a modeling comeback, just like her mom won't make a singing comeback in her career. I think this is the perfect time to capitalize off the viral success of the wedding stunt she did. I mean, I think she's probably going to be the model in that fashion show, the one that she arranged for Chelsea. That's the one thing. I wish that Chelsea would have done that fundraiser fashion show. I mean, I thought that was at least going to happen, considering Danny arranged it where she could wear that dress from the museum that no one else gets to wear. You know, if I were Danny, I would have been like, baby, I'm so proud of you, but can we at least, you know, do something that would be beneficial to, you know, to both of us? Well, for one, I put in all this work to secure your spot in this fundraiser. Plus, it's for a good cause. It's for a good cause. But on top of that, perhaps we can use this opportunity to, you know, this will be your final hurrah on the runway. Plus, think of the stage you'll be on, the platform you have. You can use that to announce you and Cat's purse line. I think that would have been a fair negotiation, but that's just me. And after that, you know, Danny's drinking, but she's also ignoring Nicole's phone calls. But at the very end of the episode, she does come over and see that, you know, Danny is, you know, sitting there reminiscing and whatnot. So I can't wait for later today when the episode drops and we get a conversation between them, because, yeah, it's good that Danny is being checked on, as opposed to just, oh, she's smiling, she has good energy, she's okay, but the family doesn't know, you know, what she's dealing with behind closed doors. And also, as much as I love the Andre and Danny scenes, I love that, you know, we get a sisterly scene here. Hopefully, Danny actually takes in what Nicole says, because I'm pretty sure that once again, she's going to recommend that Danny talks to someone. So let's talk about Smitty and Martin real quick. Now, I was kind of disappointed in Smitty, because I was cheering for the guy like, oh yeah, that's right, tell Martin's ass off, because he's a hypocrite. You know, always trying to use the kids as an excuse for keeping Smitty down without, you know, working on or re-entering the working world as a reporter. So Smitty calls him out for it's like, oh, so looks like I'm not the only one about who's moving around behind the other person's back about their career choices. And then Martin tries to reverse Uno him, but Smitty shuts it down. But then he just takes a deep breath like, you know what? Yeah, I guess you're right. So how do we get to this point of keeping secrets from each other? And from there, Smitty pretty much soothes Martin's ego, because he's trying to make it about, oh, well, I thought my husband was to be supportive and whatnot. Yeah. Because Smitty feels upset that his grandparents knew about it first. And okay, to be fair, I can't believe I'm defending Martin here, but I think it kind of makes sense why he would tell. Well, to be honest, he didn't tell. He told Nicole. His mom was the only person he told about becoming a candidate for or running for the White House. Because remember, Vernon got wind of it because of, you know, various political figures in the community. I think that Martin probably was doing research about, you know, getting donors for a campaign, and that's how Vernon found out. Then Vernon told Anita. So basically, Nicole, his mom, was the first person he told, which I kind of think makes sense. Not to mention, I also would think it makes sense that he would tell his grandfather first, since, you know, his grandfather was like his political idol growing up, who inspired him to, you know, do what he did what he's doing as a congressman. And yeah, I get it though. That's your husband. You would talk to him first, but in terms of, like, you know, expressing the desire, it makes sense to talk to, you know, Vernon before Smitty, but that's just me. And Smitty, I think, makes a great observation, because he's basically saying what Anita and Vernon were, and that's the fact that Martin's secret is one thing, but the level of scrutiny that both Smitty and the children would have to deal with. Well, I know they're not children, but still, because what does Smitty say? Look, they're in some of the most formative years right now, between the senior year and their first couple of years of college. The pressures of not making any mistakes is going to be too much. And then Martin's like, you underestimate how resilient our kids are. Martin, you don't know your teens as well as you think. Because remember, Smitty is the one who knows them well. Like, he knows that Terrell, wait, is it Terrell? It's Samantha and Terrell, right? He knows that Terrell is hiding something where Martin is pretty much dismissive of it. I think while he's calling out Smitty for underestimating the kids, I think Martin is overestimating how strong they are. Because keep in mind, their daughter wants to date now, and who's to say she won't be caught up in a fling or something, and, you know, some reporters or whatever, or, you know, tabloids get photos of her and a boy making out or something. It's like, oh, potential presidential candidate, you know, Martin Richardson, wait, it's Richardson, right? Richardson, his daughter is seen, you know, doing this, and oh, the son, remember the son is hiding something. So I really think that he needs to think twice, because you could tell that. And I love how Smitty did take a moment. Like, don't try to, you know, sell me on the idea with flowery words and whatnot. Essentially, Martin keeps saying how, oh, well, you know, I'm doing this for us so I can make our kids proud. And I feel like he's using his family as an excuse to justify his selfish actions. He knows what he wants. And I still think that him saying that he's going to run for president really stemmed from overhearing Smitty talking to Nicole about going back into the working force as a reporter. I mean, even back in episode 1, he did tell his grandfather how he wanted to do more than him, and he felt like he wasn't doing enough. So the presidential aspirations were there, but it just seemed to me like the whole I'm running for the White House was a method for him to, okay, well, if I'm going to be the next Obama, then Smitty's going to have to be my Michelle, meaning that he's going to have to give up his aspirations of going back to work. It just seems like that's the way this control freak works. So later on, him and Smitty go to the diner, and I love the moment that Martin noticed the guy from across the diner, the same one who approached him at Nicole's award ceremony and asked about, you know, Smitty's desire to get back into the reporter game because he has a gig for him. And then Martin said, oh, well, you know, he's not really serious about it. Oh, he got caught. Like, he was trying to hide his face behind the menu and whatnot. But then Smitty noticed something was up. So he looked up. He's like, hey, I forgot the guy's name. I'm just going to call him Evan. I forgot to write his name down. I'm sorry about that. So he calls him over to approach him at the, booth. He's like, oh, hey, Smitty. Oh, hey, Martin, how's it going? Hey, look, Smitty, I had this. Look, I'm begging you, man. There's this position on this hot news site, and I really wish you can reconsider because, you know, Martin told me you weren't serious about getting back to the game. Oh, that's what he said, right? And then Evan's like, oh, awkward. So now I'm like, okay, I think the writers cooked, because at first I was disappointed that Smitty didn't, go in on Martin earlier at the house when they had their confrontation. He kind of gave up too easy. But no, given that Martin has now been caught in a lie, because remember, Smitty and the kids, well, mainly the kids, convinced Martin to give Smitty a shot. Like, okay, one reporting job, let's see how it goes. But then for him to go behind Martin's back and Smitty's back and undermine him by breaking a promise and keeping him down, saying, oh, well, he's not really serious about it. I hope this episode is Smitty just, going in on Martin, and then Naomi doing the same thing with Haley. So I really, really, really hope that this thing works out. Now, aside from that, let's see here. Okay, yeah, we got the Haley, Bill, Naomi, and Tomas and Cat stuff. All right. So, Bill, I love this scene with him and Naomi. And here's the thing. If you follow my sister's content, the Tyler Perry content, then you know that I recently made an announcement that I was forever done falling for Tyler Perry actresses / characters. And I meant what I said. Now, should I hold the same standard for Beyond the Gates? Probably. But I will say, Naomi, I don't know. I really, really, really like her after this scene. I don't know. It's just something about headstrong, powerful women. And the fact that, she was at the top of her game, in that debate with Bill. I loved it. And I love how Bill was smug But at the same time, it was like a mixed bag with him where it's like he was cocky, but this was also, you could tell he missed this. And that's something that is brought up later in the episode when he's discussing the encounter with Haley. But it is like really, really bad that Bill is completely dismissing this case, because the moment he said, you know what, this lawsuit is nothing like the Mike, the partner at the firm that I know. And I'm like, Negro, last episode you told his ass off because he was running his mouth, not safe for work, all the jokes and whatnot. And like he said, anything he mentioned against Haley, like he'd snap him in two. But in terms of being dismissive of these three women's case, I'm like, okay, maybe, yeah, I don't know. He says, like, you know, hey, I'm at the top of the food chain here. My thing is dealing with high profile cases, not HR situations. So he says that all these things are, you know, beneath his watch, but Naomi is headstrong about it. And I like how Bill does say what some fans were saying, like, you know, Naomi is only doing this for personal reasons as opposed to, you know, getting justice for these women. And I love how Naomi did not back down, and it just really made me attracted to her. But at the same time, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. No. Okay, so yeah, you know I love Danny, but I think Naomi is my favorite just because of the fact that, well, for one, she's more mentally stable, and fans like Jeremy stop going for the crazy women, and I'm like, But plus she's, well, the character Naomi is married. Whatever. You know what? I'm attracted to Naomi, okay? I am. But in any case, it's the fact that Bill tries to like throw it in Naomi's face, like, oh, you're just basing this off of, you know, faceless rumors and whatnot. And I will do a deep dive and everything that needs to be done, because his thing is, oh, this won't even make it to the courtroom. But the fact that he tries to pull the emotional card, not just by calling her sweetheart. Oh, Dad, you might not want to call me sweetheart in the courtroom because that could be looked at as sexist. And I'm like, damn, Naomi's staying on it. But this goes back to episode 20, right? When he's talking to Tomas about the fact that they used to debate cases over dinner. And you could tell Bill is proud. But at the same time, he's a slime ball. Because he goes so far as to say, look, you do realize that this case isn't just about Mike, right? Or about me. You are putting the livelihoods of everyone at this firm at risk. Because even though this case will no doubt get thrown out, especially when I, you know, show proof and whatnot, it's going to tarnish the reputation of the firm and then mess up the cash flow of the people who work here. Co-workers, colleagues, friends, people who went to your law school graduation, Naomi, but then Naomi's like, well, I'll see you in court. And I'm like, dang. So this is going to be intense. Now, Tomas, man, he got caught in the he caught it straight, because when this debate first happened, when Bill said this is some BS, and Naomi's like, oh, well, I've heard rumors too. And not to mention, I'm pretty sure if I can get some statements from the people from around the office, they'll be able to give me some insight. She looked at Tomas like, uh-oh. And then Bill's like, okay, you can go. Because remember, Tomas has been a witness to everything that's been going on. And from there, he goes to the diner, and then Cat runs into him, and he's like, oh, no, you can have a seat. I'm sorry. It's like, work has been pretty crazy right now. And then he mentions the situation involving the firm and the fact that Naomi dropped the lawsuit. And they also have a brief conversation in terms of, you know, sex, but mainly the fact that Cat has been having fantasies, and he's like, oh, well, do they involve me? Another time, another place, we'll talk about it. So you love the chemistry between them. Side note, and I don't like to harp on this because everybody is entitled to their opinion. And as I mentioned many times, I am new to the soap world. Some people are just mentioning online how they don't like certain performances and whatnot. You know, mainly Derek is the one most people point to. Other people talk about Tomas. Oh, he's just a pretty face. Personally, I like the guy's performance. I think that what makes him appealing, well, you know, as a straight man, I don't really think that eye candy is the appropriate term for me to say, because one, I clearly observe the women. That's the first thing. But also the fact that he's a lawyer. So when I think lawyer, I usually think like, what's the word? Like rigid, a bit stiff. But at the same time, when you have a character like that interacting with someone who's energetic and bubbly like Cat, sometimes Cat in a way allows viewers to see beneath the shell of Tomas. You know, obviously a lot of people are labeling him as a player slash womanizer when you look at the fact that he and Kat kind of have a thing going on, but at the same time he is not directly opposed to the flirtation that Eva is giving him. But yeah, I think he's a good actor in the role. I think that he's doing what he's supposed to do. So for me, I don't really look at the Tomas character as someone who's like, oh, his performance is boring. No, I'm actually intrigued by how uncomfortable he is around Mike and his inappropriate humor. The somewhat of a bond he is building with Bill, you know, from asking to date his former niece, Kat, to, you know, Bill opening up to Tomas about his you know, regrets and the pain of the tarnished relationship he has with his daughter Naomi, and, you know, just the chemistry that Tomas has with Kat. So I don't have a problem with the actor or his performance, but that's just me. Like I said, everyone is entitled to their opinion, but I think he's doing a good job. And like I stated, what was it, a week or two ago, I said the show is just starting, and I'm pretty sure as the show goes on, some of the performances will get better over time. But that's, I'm sorry for that little tangent there, but I just had to say it because I kept seeing people going at the guy online. So aside from that, Kat meets up with Chelsea at the country club, and Chelsea's energy was just, I loved it. The fact that she was so happy that she has lifted this huge burden off of her shoulders. Because remember, this is episode 21, and episode 1 was when we established that these two have their dreams of, you know, the fashion line with the purses and whatnot, and it's a matter of Chelsea cutting ties with her mom. And the fact that she just feels so happy about it. It's like, oh yeah, these new designs are working on, I'll show you when I have the time. Wait, I have time now. I can't believe it. I can finally put all my time and energy into our brand. I just, as someone who quit their job to pursue YouTube over 7 years ago, I can completely relate to this. And it's such a good feeling. Like, my parents didn't want me to quit my job. They hated the idea, but I'm like, look, it's my decision. I got money saved up. My channel is making enough for me to pay rent and whatnot. And I'll give it like 6 months. And if I don't, you know, grow and make more money, then I'll go find another job. And it was the best decision I ever made. And the difference is, I didn't have a parent as a manager or anything. I was just working a regular job at the call center at the college I went to. And I'm like, nah, I was like, you know, I'm making this school hundreds of thousands of dollars with all the people I get signed up for classes and whatnot. Yet I'm getting paid in peanuts. And I'm like, I'd rather strike it out on my own, do my own thing, and make less money at first, but it has the potential to grow. And I just love seeing Chelsea happy. But also, the moment of reflection that Danny had when she remembered back to episode 1, where Vanessa kind of called her out, is like, look, I mean, you're a great momager, but do you think that what you did for Chelsea wasn't for Chelsea, but more so like giving her the life you gave up? So again, I really do think that Danny at some point will go back on the runway. So, man, dang, because the fact that she looks at her younger self and goes, if I could go back and I could warn you, it would save you a lot of pain and hurt. Because, like I said, she had a 2-year career that set the world on fire. She gave it up for Bill, was married to him for over 3 decades, and now it's all gone. Now you can see why this woman is unhinged. Not saying her actions are justified, but I can understand them. I'm not saying her actions are right, but I can understand the motivation. Man. Really sucks. Okay, so Haley Yeah, Haley is the last person to talk about before we get to Naomi and Jacob discussing the matter at the Uptown. So Haley is at the diner and chats with Jacob because she sees him walk in and place an order for coffee. I ain't gonna lie, some people are trying to ship these two. I noticed that Haley was looking Jacob up and down. It wasn't just a glance where it's like, oh, that's Jacob. No, she looked him up and down before she went over there. Let me know if you caught that. But basically, she's trying to butter him up like, oh, hey, I heard about your promotion, working on homicides and other things, and I know you're going to do great. Okay, thanks. Because Jacob's kind of dismissive. Oh, Haley. And it's like, okay, thank you. I appreciate it. I got to go. And it's like, and then she grabbed his arm like, wait. And then did you see how he looked at like, why are you touching my arm? It's those little nonverbal cues I really like. But Haley is basically trying to do with Jacob what she attempted to do with Nicole in episode 2. Hey, I need your help. The person that I'm trying to, make amends with is angry and there's nothing I can do about it. With Nicole, it's like, can you help me get acclimated into the community? Hell no, bitch. You took my sister's husband. Jacob, could you work together with me to rekindle the relationship between Naomi and Bill? Hell no, bitch. You betrayed my wife and stole her mother's husband. But for Naomi, it's just, I don't know. I seriously believe this woman is acting just naive. She claims she's not naive, but this is the second time she's been like, there's nothing I could do. It's just like, I wish Naomi would let go of her anger. Just like she told Nicole, I've apologized. I've tried everything, but Danny just won't let go of her anger. You stole her husband. And like Nicole said, it's not just anger, it's hurt. But either way, screw you. You stole her husband. And even worse, I think she did Naomi the worst because, as she claims, Naomi was my first real friend. And then look how you did her. Naomi invited you to meet her family behind the gates. And then Danny was like a wonderful... I ain't gonna hold you. In some ways, it almost feels like Danny low-key accepted Haley as like a third daughter. Opening up our home, letting you interact with the family. And then you went the extra step by sleeping with my husband. Because remember, Danny said she was the one who convinced Bill to get Haley a job at his firm. Which brings about an important question. Given that Haley and Naomi were friends, why didn't Haley get a job at Naomi's firm? I think Haley, this was the long game. I think Haley, she probably pegged Naomi from the moment they met. That's what I think. I think I even made this comparison like during week 1 or week 2 when I did a video about Haley being like Candace Young from the Haves and the Have-Nots. She pretty much did her research on Jim Cryer, opted to become friends with his daughter, Amanda, and then used that as a way to integrate herself into the Cryer, circle, and then, blackmail ensued. I think that's how it went. I think that she did her research, knew who Naomi was, found out about the father and everything. Is like, okay, let me see what I can do about this. Yeah, that's what I think. So Jacob's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Deuces. And then later on when Bill gets home, Haley notices something's wrong. Like, wait, why are you home early? And then Bill talks about the lawsuit. Haley can't believe it because that's not the Mike I know. But then Bill is like, look, I don't know for sure these claims are real, but Mike, he knows not to, be crude or inappropriate or flirt with the boss's girlfriend. And she's like, well, I'll testify. Yeah, that's not a good look for you to do it, especially, the fact that, you're married to me. So it would just lead to a whole lot of complications. And yeah, good call because you were messing around with one of your employees in an affair. Then that led to you getting a divorce and married. So that would work against Bill in court? Yeah, it really would. So I don't know who's more delusional, Bill or Naomi, because I mean Haley. So Bill thinks that Naomi is doing this because, oh, it's not about justice, and it's like, I'm not going to give her what she wants. I'm going to give her what she needs, and that's the fact that she needs my attention. This whole lawsuit thing is just a cry for help, because we're debating like we used to back in the day. Because Haley's like, wait, it almost seems like you're happy you're getting sued. Oh, no. This is going to work out. Yeah, first of all, this is going to be nipped in the bud before he even goes to court. And no, you know what I think is going to happen? Bill is going to heavily underestimate Naomi, and as a result, he's going to lose, because this reminds me of that episode of The Fresh Prince. Look, I don't really, what I call, like, what is it, the light skin Aunt Viv era, when they replaced Janet Hubert, and or especially when Will and Carlton went to college. I don't really care for the later seasons, but the episode in question is the one about, okay, when Will and Carlton were in the pool house, and I think they had a party, and Uncle Phil was pissed off about it, and he ended up like canceling it. So from there, Will and Carlton were like punished with like fees and whatnot. Like they were treated like legit tenants, and they didn't have any AC. So then they decided to take Uncle Phil to court, and he didn't take it seriously whatsoever. Like he even talked to the judge. He's like, oh, well, I know they're probably not going to show it. They're probably at home writing up an apology right now. But then Will and Carlton come into the courtroom, suits, briefcases, and everything. And then the judge is like, oh, it looks like they have more than an apology ready. What's your opening statement, Mr. Banks? Or Judge Banks? I don't have an opening statement. So I feel like Bill is in the same way, where he's going to think, oh, Naomi's just doing this to get her old man's attention. That's what's going on here. This lawsuit isn't going to make it to court, but then it will. I think that's what's going to happen. And now, Bill, just opts to make light of the situation until a phone call from Mike comes in. So he, goes to the other room to take it. Now, Haley decides that, okay, she just leaves and we know where she's going, because over in Uptown, Jacob comes by on his break from work and talks with Naomi about the situation. Naomi is mentioning how, I ordered your favorite since I already know you have a short break. And then he mentions the encounter he had earlier with Haley and how she wants to work with him to bring Bill and Naomi back together. And she's like, well, I hope you said, hell no, bitch. And it's like, I didn't really use those words, but basically I told her I wasn't buying what she was selling. And no, I did not tell her about the lawsuit, especially because I didn't know if you were going to take it. And then she tells Jacob about how, happy she was to serve her father and whatnot, and how this is going to be the big step. Now, later on, when I think Jacob's break is over, Naomi confronts her. It's like, what the hell do you think you're doing? And I'm like, first of all, the audacity of her to say that to Naomi. Oh, yeah. Also, one of my other favorite moments was when Jacob's like, yeah, so I saw your stepmother today. Please don't call her that. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I don't know why. It's just hilarious. And not to mention, I don't even know. I think Naomi and Haley are in the same age range, but probably Haley might be younger. That would be really messed up. Like, my wicked stepmother. Haha, I got you now. I hope Naomi has a bunch of clapbacks like, yeah, once I'm done with my dad and we win this case, oh, yeah, everything won't be hunky-dory for you anymore. Yeah, you're going to lose that castle. Oh, yeah, that black card you got. Yeah, this also going to mess up Haley's career. So remember, she didn't want to quit her job, but if the firm and the reputation gets, tarnished, yikes. So, that is it. That is my review for episode 21. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.